Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swing Good Torah. Okay, so this is our first, or no, I'm sorry, it's our second official live stream. After I got done shoveling the driveway somewhat this morning, I decided, maybe we'll do another live stream. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what's being called Winter Storm Fern, like SnowMegaddon. There's a lot going on in the world. There's great tension in America. There's been a lot of growing. I mean, it's been growing for years and years and years now. This almost like this political civil war in America. And I think this is a lot of what's tied into the storm, and I'll talk about it. It does seem that America is gearing up, and they're bringing a lot of military equipment all around the Middle East and the Persian Gulf, in the Mediterranean, the Red Sea. And it does seem like they're gearing up for some kind of strike on Iran. And we'll talk about why all this is going to happen and why the American empire is going to take over the whole world for 9 months. And then I really want to focus. So I have the picture. So if anyone, we'll see if anyone ever shows up. So I had the picture of the kids playing in the snow. And I think that's really great image for what I want to talk about today, because everyone can experience the world events every day, but they can have a drastic difference in perception of what's going on. And I think what's very strange to me is I think we're very, very close to the emergence of Moshiach. And now, of course, it says in the Gemara, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he's talking to Eliyahu Hanavi, and he's talking to him, and he says, I want to know when Mashiach's going to come. And it's very strange. And Eliyahu Hanavi, he just says, go ask Mashiach. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he goes to ask Mashiach, and he's in the gates of Rome, and he's taking off, the bandages one at a time. It seems like he's just healing one person at a time, and he's also suffering himself, and he's just putting on one bandage at a time because he wants to be ready to go whenever Hashem sends him. And the important message is, if we listen to Hashem's voice, if we follow the Torah, if we do the mitzvos, then it happens today. Then we can enter into the Yemot Mashiach today. And it's all dependent on us. So it's like so I'm going to talk about a lot of the big signs that are happening, but it's all dependent on us. And that's, I think, a little bit what's lost right now. And it also surprises me. I think there is some growing excitement. Obviously, most of the people they're probably going to watch this video, right? They're already excited about Mashiach, and they know someone about Mashiach. And I welcome anyone else. I welcome you from any nation, from any religion, anywhere in the world. Come learn, join us, say shalom, hang out. And why are all these big events happening? But I think what's so strange is, I think a lot of people are so caught up in the political narratives that they're going to be completely taken by surprise. And it says in the Gemara, it's interesting that Mashiach can come in two ways. That Mashiach can be, for some people, like this prized, thing, this great treasure they find because they've been, learning the Torah, and they've been, awaiting Mashiach, and every day they're excitingly awaiting. And then it's like when it finally happens, it's like, you've been waiting for, a special birthday, or you've been waiting for, Shabbos, or you're waiting, for something that you really, really love. And then it finally arrives, and you're just so happy because you put so much, expectation and preparation into it. So for some people, Mashiach coming is going to be this, this great find, like finding a treasure. But yet it's very strange. And the Gemara describes for other people, Mashiach coming is going to be like a Scorpio. Because it's going to be this cold sting of the Scorpio, because it's going to be unexpected. It's not what they were expecting. And I think that's really where the world is right now. We have a lot of people in the world, over 8 billion people in the world, and everyone's really caught up in these political narratives. And there's like this global, almost political struggle between the political right and the political left. And I want to, sorry, I'm just so much to talk about, but I really wanted to thank Hashem, Baruch Hashem, that we went through this storm, this crazy winter storm, and it was nuts. I mean, I was shoveling driveway once through the storm, and then my children, my sons, were helping me shovel again through the storm. And then today it's like all iced up, and I did some work on it this morning. I'm still kind of stuck in, and I had to go back out. But Baruch Hashem that that Hashem kept our power on, and that we were warm, and we could enjoy it. And B'ezrat Hashem, everyone who lost power, their power is quickly restored. But I think the more and more I started to think about it, this is a great amount of din. Now it's interesting. If snow falls, snow's considered like rachamim from Shemayim, from heaven. Like rachamim, it's compassion from Hashem. Like snow is beautiful and it's light and it's fluffy. And the very interesting thing about snow, that each snowflake, they're all in the pattern of a Jewish star. They're all a 6-pointed star, and they're all different. They're all unique. They're all different. Like 8 billion people on this planet. Hashem's created everyone very special. Everyone's different. Everyone has a special purpose in the world. And that's a beautiful thing. So snow can be very, this great, sign of compassion, a chesed of love and kindness and rachamim and compassion from Hashem. But yet when it's mixed with this like ice storm and this icy rain, then it can be a lot of din. And I think, unfortunately, there was a lot of din that was brought into this storm, and a lot of people lost their power. And I think where all this din's coming from, I've been thinking about this, especially when I was shoveling this morning, that I think, right, there's so much fighting in America right now. And then we're going to talk about internationally, what's happening internationally with Israel and the US and Iran and all that. We'll get to that soon. But just in America, I think people are following these political narratives, and it's gearing everyone up to just like fight against even family and friends if they don't agree with them politically. And that's why I put the image of the children playing in the storm, because I think that's like one of the main things I'm trying to get across today, that it's our perception of the world. And if we perceive, so this is so interesting. Never really done these live chats. Oh, cool. Oh, Shalom from Northern California. So you probably missed out on the storm so far. So it's cool, like talking to everyone live. So, right. So I think like this din, I think the storm went across 34 states. And there's an interesting thing, like the news will always like hype these up as like, oh, this was Winter Storm Fern. But then I think it really loses the message of what Hashem's trying to communicate with people. Like there's no such thing as Winter Storm Fern. It's like the storm has no consciousness. The storm's not its own creation. The storm, it's all being sent from Hashem. And the goal usually of these, it's not when we have like this really bad weather, it's the lesson is from, the famous story of Noah. When people are fighting, then Hashem uses the weather to be destructive force. But when people get along, and it says this in Masechta Sukkah, that in the Yemotza Moshiach, in the days of the Messiah, the weather is always going to be this beautiful spring day, because Hashem's responding. So the real climate change is Hashem's controlling the climate, controlling the weather, and it responds to how we're acting. So when we see like this horrible, intense political fighting in Minnesota, no matter how you feel about it politically, it's just no good. I mean, it's not good from any side, right? When there's just all this fighting, whatever political, perception you have of it, the fighting's not good. And I thought the image of the kids playing in the snow was so great, because I mean, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, I got to clean the driveway. I got to get out, maybe I have to get some more food for the kids. Am I going to have to teach today? Do I have to go, to work? All these factors, but like kids have this more innocence, and it's beautiful, and they just enjoy it. It's like they don't see any of the, let's see. Okay. Ferndale. Oh, very nice. It's very cool. It's so neat, like talking to people. So he said, I thought it was funny because I'm one with God, and I used to live in a town called Ferndale, Pennsylvania. So it's very neat to be able to talk to people while this is all going on. Right. But so like we're not perceiving the good of it and the good of the world. And it's very interesting. It's like when Hashem created the world, every day he says, Ki Tov, this is good. And then when he created Adam and Chava, when he created Adam and Eve, it's Tov Ma'od. The world was very, very good. And there's only one day, the second day, where Hashem had to do the separation, or the separations of the physical waters from the spiritual waters. And, only that day Hashem didn't say good, but then on the third day when he completes the process, and now the land Hashem creates all the continents, and now it's a place for people to live, right? Then that extra good from day two, Hashem says good. So, right, so the creation itself, the Maisa Bereshis, is good. And it's just our perception, of how we're perceiving the world. So I wanted to give a shout out. I asked her if it was okay. A friend of mine, Elisheva Ben Chama, right? I think she was the one that posted this I think she posted on Facebook, and I think it was a beautiful idea. And right, we say that the Torah is the Eitz Chaim, the Torah is the tree of life, but all its ways, it's Darkei Noam, all its ways are pleasantness. And that's an important thing. Like, if it's truly Torah, like, we can learn Torah, we learn the mitzvahs, we're doing the mitzvahs, but sometimes, like, we get so flustered and aggravated, and that's when we lose the emunah, we lose the bitachon, we lose, like, the trust and faith that Hashem's running everything, and we feel overwhelmed because in those moments we feel like it's all us, right? And sometimes what's so great about some of these things, like these huge winter storms, the Chas v'Shalom, when there's like hurricanes or any kind of thing they call like natural disasters, is really Hashem, but Hashem's doing it like to get everyone back together. And then the beautiful thing happens when the storm passes and all the neighbors start helping each other out, and people, are coming to each other's aid. And then it like brings that unity back, right? And unfortunately, when the world gets to this place, unfortunately, sometimes we need these horrible events to bring the unity back. And that's the goal. The goal is that we're all, descended from, Shalom from New York City. Sorry if I'm missing this. I'm not used to like doing these chats. Very cool. So let's talk a little, let's expand their scope a little bit. But I think like the thing with like all the political fighting in America is like, it's so strange to me, like, because I'm really in some ways becoming very like apolitical. I used to be a huge political junkie, and I'm really beginning to not really care, like, so, and I'm just exhausted. Like, I don't want to fight with people just because like, they see something different politically. But I think the thing that's being missed is really seeing the world through like Hashem's perception, seeing the world through the lens of the Torah gives us an idea of how Hashem wants us to perceive the world. And one of the most important things is like Hashem is echad. Hashem is one. He's one infinite being, and he wants all of his creation. He wants all of mankind to, once again, to unify, into one, one people, one man. We're all descended from Adam and Chava, from Adam and Eve. And that's one of the main purposes of Yemot Mashiach, of Mashiach ben Yosef. His job is to gather the Jewish people back, into the land of Israel, which is called the Kibbutz Goliath, the ingathering, the exiles, even restoring the 10 lost tribes. And then Mashiach ben David, a descendant of King David, like his job is like Yachad. He has Hashem's name in the name Yehuda, who he's descended from. And the job of the descendant of King David is to unify first the Jewish people, and then the 70 core nations can all be unified. And we can all be unified again and attached back to the one infinite creator. And that's really the goal. Okay, so now, unfortunately, right, to get there, we have all this massive like conflict in the world. We have let's see. I think the storm is a response to what's going on with ice. I was saying to someone earlier that God is the master of ice. Yeah, so this is what I was saying. So maybe you just jumped in. This is exactly what I was saying before. But right, so I think it's exactly that. It's all the fighting. It's not like it's not one, Hashem's not like not taking a political side, like Hashem's not a Democrat or Republican, right? But he wants people to stop fighting. And I think unfortunately there's like too much going on wrong on both sides. It's I mean, law enforcement. The Torah. One thing that the Torah says is very important. Like it's like mishpat medina kemishpat. Like the laws of a nation are like the laws of the Torah. You have to obey the laws in the country you live in. But if those laws start to contradict the Torah, then you don't follow those laws, right? If a law would, like for instance, like the Torah says, don't kill. So if someone is just commanding just to kill for no reason, just to murder for no reason, right? You can't do that, right? You can't disobey the law. The higher law is the law of Torah, but we have to follow the laws of the country. And I really think, like, as we go deeper and deeper in the Yemot Mashiach, like we shouldn't be involved. We should get less involved, like in the political spectrum. Here, let me read this comment here. Discuss the Vilna Gaon, Ibn Ezra, Rav Sadia Gaon, Abarbanel, Malbi, Midrash, Pirkei de Rebbe Lezer, for the end of days, and Gog and Magog prophecies before Mashiach, and the Gula finally arrives. That's amazing. I don't know if I can discuss all that right now. I may have to prepare a little more, but yes, amazing stuff from all these great. Here, let me see if I can find it real quick. I've been wanting to get this Sefer for a long time, so I've been going through it. I got the Ramban on his Sefer HaGeula. They're incredible stuff. These are all great sources. Okay, so let me talk a little bit. It does seem like America is preparing for this some kind of attack on Iran, and discuss like where is all that coming from, and then this idea like why does Edom have to rule the world for 9 months? So one thing is it says, so I went through in my last video, so it says in Avodah Zarah Beis Amabeis 2b that the first, the most powerful and the second most powerful country after everything's done, after like all the wars of Gog and Magog have been fought, after all that, the most powerful country will be Edom, which I believe is the United States, or some combination of the United States and Russia. And then the second most important or powerful country at the time will be Persia. So it seems like there is going to be a huge rise in the power of Iran, but then the Tosfos does say there that Persia, Paras, will fall into the hands of Edom. So it seems like at some point, the USA is going to defeat Iran. And these events are really starting to really, accelerate in their pace. I mean, the pace is frenetic, like how much is changing every week. So, so it's interesting. The Gemara asks a very fascinating question. Well, why should it be? How is it possible that the destroyers, meaning the Roman Empire, under General Titus, as Emperor Vespasian, his father, but General Titus, who later became emperor, like he destroyed the second temple in Jerusalem on Tisha B'Av. So how could it be the destroyers would possibly defeat the builders? So who are the builders? So the builders are Persia. How's Persia the builders? Because originally Koresh, King Cyrus of the Persian Empire, he allowed the beginning of the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash, the temple in Jerusalem, the beginning to build the second temple, and then he stopped it. And then the famous story, the Megillas Esther, the story, of Mordecai and Esther. And then Esther had a son with Achashverosh, King Darius, and then he allowed, he allowed the rebuilding of the second temple to go through. Let me see. So amazing. We're getting some great comments here. Let's see. More involvement with Torah is the best way forward, regardless of what's going on with I think it says worldlings. Let's see. Please talk about the 7 shepherds and 8 princes. I think, the 8 princes, very interesting. That's supposed to be resurrected first to help Moshiach and restore the Beis HaMikdash activities. Yeah, good comments. But will the righteous Persian people that are friends of Israel be free from this evil, wicked regime before porn? Yeah, that's a great comment. I want to do a video soon about. I've been talking about this star, the Nova star in the constellation of the Corona Borealis, and the Zohar says that this is what's referred to when the star comes out of Yaakov, and that's literally a star. It's literally this white dwarf star in this constellation, Corona Borealis, which is the northern crown. It has 7 stars, and then this white dwarf will like grow nova. It will grow bigger and bigger in size, and it will eclipse this red giant, which I think represents Esav. And the Zohar says incredible things. It says that the star is going to appear on the sky. I believe it's going to be, let me see, it's on the 6th month, the 25th day of the 6th month, and on the 6th day, which will be Erev Shabbos over Rome. And then it seems like the 3 walls of the Vatican will fall on that day. And then 70 days later, there's going to be an earthquake like on the Har HaBayis. It seems like that would knock down the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. And like Hashem will be announcing that the power of Edom and Yishmael are over. And now it's going to be the rise of Mashiach. And the sign, the simon in the sky, in the heavens, that Yaakov's rising over Esav. And, so just incredible stuff. So what's interesting is I always thought it was going to be the 25th of Elul, but we're matching Purim, and of course with Iran, which we'll get into more soon. Of course, that that really hints to Purim, and I really think this year could be a lot like Purim. But I never thought about it because I was always counting from Nisan, which is the first month, which would make the 6th month Elul. But if we start counting from Tishrei, so a few months ago, 4 months ago or so, it was Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, of the year 5786. And if you count 6 months from Tishrei, it's actually interesting. It goes to Adar. So Adar could be the 6th month, the 25th of Adar, which is coming up really soon. Who knows? Maybe the star will be on that day, Bizrat Hashem. And it's interesting too, because on I think on Purim this year, there's going to be like a red moon. So Hashem's putting all kinds of signs into the sky. Yeah, I do think at some point, whenever America does liberate Iran from the Ayatollah, right, I do think it'll be more freedom for the Persian people. And there's still, I think, somewhere between like 15,000, 20,000 Persian Jews. What's interesting is Rabbi Neuberger here, the Neuberger family in Ner Israel, Rabbi Neuberger actually brought a lot of Persian Jewish people over to Baltimore, and and they're a great addition to the community here, and friends with some of them, amazing, and learning Torah and just spreading chesed, doing mitzvahs. So that's a great thing. But yeah, Bizrat Hashem, for all the Persian people, there'll be a liberation. But so that does seem to be a big buildup. So why is it that, like Edom, why is it that Esau's children have to rule the world for 9 months? And it's very interesting because Esau, in a sense, when he sold his birthright, when he sold the Bechorah to Yaakov, to Jacob, he really gave up all of Olam Haba, all of what the Torah calls the world to come, which is the perfected world after Mashiach, after the days of Mashiach. Then the world's going to go into an even higher spiritual level, which even the prophets were not given a vision of yet. I mean, the Nevi'im never saw that high a level of the world. They saw visions into the days of Mashiach, and the wars of Gog and Magog and this world peace that will be established in the days of Mashiach. But even the Nevi'im, even on their high spiritual level, they never even seen like how the world will be in this higher level, the seventh millennium, like so where the world's in this state of like this 1,000 years of Shabbos. Now, what's interesting too, I thought about this a lot recently. So if you see like who's the greatest enemy of the Jewish people, Amalek, the children of Amalek, and we saw them first, rise in the ancient Persian Empire, under the wicked Haman. And then recently in the 20th century, we saw the horrible evil of the Nazis, who also seem to be descendant from Amalek. And there's interesting hints in the Megillah Esther about like I think it was like 1946 Purim Spiel. There's like coded letters in there. It's very Aish Discovery Program does a great job of this. And then I think one of the Nazis, before he was being hung, he yelled at like Purim Spiel 1946 because he knew it was like from like the Megillah Esther. So the thing is that even though it's such craziness in the world, I feel like people are so agitated by all the political tension. But if we really view what's happening through the lens of the Torah, we see that all these events are unfolding, right, to really, in a sense, like set the stage for Mashiach, to set the stage for a return of a king, to Israel, and then to start rejuvenating, like reinvigorating the Jewish people, so the whole Jewish people will be learning Torah again and learning about the mitzvahs and doing mitzvahs, and that will be like the inspiration to the world. So when the Jewish people like reach their fulfillment of what we're supposed to be doing, then the world can like see this inspiration. They can see the bracha, they can see the blessings that Hashem is now like, raining down on the Jewish people. And this is going to make the whole rest of the world, want to, attach themselves to Hashem. And all the fighting and all the tension, and all the anger and all the hatred is that people don't, clearly see, like how we can attach ourselves to Hashem. And I think the thing is that I think that's like, it's something like very deep down in every person, that like every person, they want to be loved, and every person wants to be able to give love. And then on a higher spiritual level, they want to be loved by Hashem, and they want to be able to express their love to Hashem. But this is in a secular world, in a secular modern world, these ideas, can seem so foreign to people, and we get so lost in like these other narratives, these political narratives. And I think that's so much like tension and the fighting, and we lose track of how beautiful the world is, how miraculous the world is, how everything is being run by one infinite being. And we really have those moments where we see the beauty of a snowstorm, and not like, like I was tense sometimes, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose my power, I don't feel good, you know. But when we see the beauty that Hashem's running everything, and we feel really connected, then we have that real amuna. Then we start to see the miraculous. And as you know, we're heading into this parsha Beshalach, the splitting, the Kriyas Yamsuf, the splitting of the Red Sea. And it's supposed to be that the people, it says even children had a higher level of prophecy, a higher level of nevuah and prophecy than even Yechezkel ben Buzi, like Ezekiel, and he had the vision of the throne room. Here, let me read this comments here. So what role will AI be and all man-made technology like smartphones and screens in general during the time of Gula, especially after Tekiyas HaMesim, when all our Siddiqim return to this world? That's a good question. And people mistake Hashem's gifts or God's gifts of personal power for absolute personal power. Yeah, these are great ideas. So it's funny. My background was I went to film school. I mean, I didn't really grow up so religious. I'm a Baal Teshuva. So it's funny. My background was I went to film school. I had a degree in film production and religious studies, and then I went back to school, started taking some computer classes. I worked at IBM doing multimedia for a while, and then I got into like CGI animation. I went back to Los Angeles. I worked in the film and television industry in high tech. And then it's funny. So at H, everyone's like, oh, use your filmmaking and use, your computer programming, your web design or your graphic design, use that, to teach Torah. But then it's funny. So we moved back to Baltimore, and I was teaching, when I was learning at Ner Yisrael in the Kollel, then all of a sudden I got a taste of like a mainstream, like yeshiva world attitude. And it's like, no, movies are evil. The internet's evil. So I think I have a really different perception. I mean, obviously I'm on the internet, and it's kind of embarrassing of my production background. I don't think like I have such high quality in the videos yet, and I want to do a lot more filmmaking. But I really believe, and it was interesting. So I worked at IBM in the 90s, and I saw the internet before it went public. So one interesting thing is the Tower of Babel, the Tower of Babel, in the Hebrew year, it was built in 1996. And 1996 in our current calendar is the year that the internet went public. So my perception of it is this. My perception is that, like, why do we have all this internet, social media, AI? I mean, I tell people this all the time. So AI to me was very disappointing, because when I took an artificial intelligence class in college and university, the teacher's like, I hate to break it to you, because I love science fiction, but AI is not going to be like smart robots and thinking machines. It's really just programs. It's just programming. It's just nothing really different. It's just people programming the computers to access database. So it's not so exciting. But I do believe like what we have is not for everyone to be fighting online about politics, but B'ezrat Hashem, very soon when Moshiach comes, that the words of Torah will be able to be spread throughout the whole world through this like internet, through this global communication system, and wisdom will be able to spread. So I believe there's a good in all this, even though I believe it's being misused right now. I believe there's a good in all this, and like Torah can be taught all around the world. It's nice we're having like conversations with people all around the world. Produce the movie Revelation of Moshiach after he's real. So I'll tell you. So my goal. So when I was in, so I was in Emory University for 2 years, and I was a pre-med. Oh, thank you for your service. Okay, you're welcome. So it's funny. So I couldn't sleep in my sophomore year, and someone gave me like an Oxford English Bible. So I just like started the beginning. I opened up at Genesis, and I just started reading, and that's what I think that's began my journey, like back to like going to yeshiva and becoming more religious. And I couldn't believe how amazing. I kept saying, like, who wrote this? It's like, I mean, a very good writer maybe has like 2 characters, maybe 3 characters where their names are like symbolic of who the character is. But as the more I started reading, I was like, this is crazy. Like every character and not characters. I mean, it's like the Torah, I see the Torah, but back then I was like, I looked at his characters and filmmaking and storytelling, but like everyone's name in the Torah is completely the essence of who they are. Every place, it's the essence of the place. So like when Adam named all the animals, it's the essence of each animal. And it was so complex. And I was just so overwhelmed, like, how amazing is this? Like, what is this? Who wrote this? And then slowly, as I started going on, I got to Yeshua, I was like, oh my, I get it. Like, this was written by an infinite being, because a person cannot write this. And then I read all these amazing stories that I never like learned about or heard about when I was younger, like, Yeshua, like Joshua. So what got me to Aish Torah in Israel was I wrote this screenplay. My friend told me, like, either write the best screenplay that's ever been written, you have to be really talented, or write a sequel to a famous movie. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go the sequel path. So I wanted to write a sequel to the movie The Ten Commandments. And I started looking, for rabbis in Los Angeles to help me. And it was incredible, like stories of Joshua and the Shov team, the judges, and then these ancient kings in the book of Malachi and the book of Kings and all the prophets. And I never heard a lot of these stories. And my goal was to work my way up the film industry and make a lot of these, biblical epics or Torah movies. But Hollywood is not like, that's not on their top of the list. I mean, it's cool that they made like Prince of Egypt. That's kind of okay, but it's not the main goal of Hollywood. It's kind of, unfortunately, it's like, it seems a little bit of the opposite, like, to just have more of this like secular world. But I always believe that there is a great power in filmmaking. But I think what's very interesting is, so I think what kind of changed my mind a little bit is Rav Noach Weinberg, so of Aish Torah. He has this 5 levels of pleasure. And he said something that really blew me away when I heard it. And he was talking about, like, the 5th level of pleasure. I think he was saying, just like the physical pleasures, like you enjoy like a nice, kosher steak. And then 4 was like, the higher than that is like your relationships, like having love, with a wife, with your kids. And then he was saying like 3 was like a cause, like, people leave their family when they get wrapped up in something bigger. Like people will like go to war, or you see now it's crazy. Like people will even give up their lives for these political causes because they get wrapped up in a movement or an organization or a country or something that they feel that's bigger themselves. So like the 3rd level of pleasure was like being like part of like a movement or a cause or a revolution or something like that. And then, yeah, it kind of is. And then the 2nd level of pleasure. So this is what really blew me away. And it was like creativity. And he was saying that, like, what's the ultimate creativity? And this is a very interesting idea to me, was actually changing the world. And I thought about that, and it's so special. It's like, it's true. It's like, it takes like years, to make a movie, and it really is powerful. I mean, it's really the secret of creation is everything was created with light and sound. And that's just light and sound. So it has a very powerful effect on people and can tap in to their 7 lower middos, their emotions. It's really incredible how a movie can tap into people's emotions and transfer emotions to people. But what Rav Noach Weinberg said, I thought was so powerful, is change the world. Like that's the ultimate in creativity, change someone's life. Like if, you really experience this, like if your family member or if your friend's really sad and you cheer them up, you change the world. Like you change the world. You made the world better. Like when we have these 613 mitzvahs, we go out there and we change the world. Like you give tzedakah. The mitzvah is so powerful that it says, even if someone has a death decree, even if there's a gezer in Shemayim, there's a death decree in heaven, like Hashem's decree that this person will die, if they give tzedakah, it can overturn that decree. It can overturn death. I mean, think how powerful that is. So we can really change the world. And I think one thing I've been trying to get across with this hashtag Team Moshiach is that even though like Hashem's putting all these great signs and all these world events are happening, like really the driving force behind the Geula, the redemption, the revelation of Hashem in the world is us. It's us. It's us just learning Torah. It's us doing the mitzvos. It's us doing, kind things for each other. And we're really the driving force. And that's like the whole perception of the world. It's like people have the perception of the world. It's like, oh, there's this like winter storm Vern or President Trump, he's preparing to invade Iran, or there's a civil war in like Minnesota or Minneapolis, or there's all these things happening. but we change the world for the better just in simple ways. So what can we affect? Like, we're not world leaders, but we can change the world tremendously, but we can change the world around us. And we can make the little world around us kinder, right? Better, holier. And that's what we have the effect on. And we can have a great effect on the world. And then by what we're doing, by learning the Torah and doing the mitzvos and these acts of kindness, that can start to shift the world events. Because then Hashem is just responding to what we're doing at the low, like grassroots level. And I think one of the main things that has to be, like overcome is like, all the media and, trying to get people to fight over, these silly like politics or fight over this or that, or, and really seeing that we're all connected, we're all created from one infinite being, that rips apart all the illusions of the world. And that's what eventually will get us to this world peace. I'm not saying unfortunately, there's not going to be like a lot of big wars. And so let's see, the board of peace. Yeah, I do think I do think it's kind of weird. I think it's going to be, I find it very weird that like Israel, like the IDF, they fought a war for 2 years and then they handed over control of it to President Trump. And what's even stranger about that is it seems to be like Trump personally. It's not even America. It's he's the head of this board of peace even after he's not president anymore. It's strange. It's like this is like last time Edom has had control of Eretz Yisrael. Maybe goes back to the Crusades. You're talking like going back to like Godfrey de Bouillon, all those guys, and then the way the Gullus Edom, the Roman exile, began was once again civil war, fighting between the last members of the Hashmonaim, the Maccabee family, and it was like, and they were so assimilated into Greek culture by that point. It was like their names were like Aristobulus and Hyrcanus. And Hyrcanus, he allied himself to Antipater, who was a rich merchant, and he was Edomian. He was a descendant of Esau. And then, Antipater's son becomes King Herod, right? And then they invite into the civil war. They invite in General Pompey from the Roman general, and then Rome started taking over. They burnt down the temple. So that's how it all began. So it does seem like we're coming out at the end kind of the same way. And then there is this idea that Edom will take over the whole world for 9 months. Why? Because, and I don't think I said it before, so maybe we'll finish someone on this. Why does it have to happen? Because Esau, when he sold his birthright, he sold out all of his share in Olam Haba, all of his share in the world to come for Olam Hazeh, for this world. So it wouldn't be fair. And Hashem runs the world by tzedek and mishpat. Everything is justice. Everything is fair. And it wouldn't be fair if Esau's descendants, if they don't get to rule over Olam Hazeh. So Hashem is like here at the end of the days, right before the coming of Moshiach, Hashem is going to give control to Edom, which is, I think, is going to be the USA, and they're going to rule the entire world. And unfortunately, that means, the whole world, which is Eretz Yisrael. And I think at some point they will take over all of Eretz Yisrael. And then we know from last Baraisa and Masechta Sota, there's going to be some kind of horrible northern invasion. And it's like Galil Yecharav, the Galilee, the northern area of Israel is going to be destroyed. And Bizrat Hashem, it's just the buildings and not the people. But I think it's going to be some kind of horrible, like probably spurred on by Iran. And this could happen soon. It's crazy. Like if America attacks Iran, Iran may respond with a massive attack against Israel. And they kind of have everyone like Hamas is still there, Hezbollah, they're just waiting on the northern border. I think Iran's moved some Houthis into Syria. Syria's, whatever we want to pretend, Syria's still run by like he's an Al-Qaeda terrorist. I don't know what we want to pretend about him. And then Iran has a big influence in Iraq. So, right, the whole world's a tinderbox. I don't know, like Witkoff, Kushner, yeah, they seem very, very close to Qatar and Turkey. They don't seem so good. It seems like it's going to ignite like a tinderbox, but we see how we see the world. And unfortunately, right, these big events are going to happen probably, but we can sweeten the din. We sweeten the din by being kind to each other. and we sweeten the din. You know, the more Torah and the more mitzvahs we're doing, and we can sweeten the din and doesn't have to come as harshly. And then after this northern invasion, then our Midrashim and our Masorah tells us then there will be the emergence of Moshiach ben Yosef. Okay, so this was kind of a quick impromptu, live stream. It was really fun interacting with you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. And like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. I hope maybe we'll do more of these, B'ezrat Hashem, in the future, until Mashiach comes, and maybe even into Yemot Mashiach. Then we'll really have a lot to talk about, right, when Mashiach gets here. Okay, so all the best. Let's make the best out of the snow day. Let's be like the kids playing in the snow. Let's enjoy it. Hashem sent us snow. We have a snow day here. Let's stop the fighting with each other. Let's start looking for the good in each other. Let's start getting along with each other. And then, then B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to see Mashiach really quickly. All the best. I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah. Okay.